Hello everyone, this is part 2 of What If Naruto Had the Ninetails and the Shinigami sealed inside him, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. Low, middle, high, low, middle, high. Kyoraku lazily repeated as Naruto was stuck slashing at Dummy with a bokken. Naruto was in the standard Soul Reaper uniform and he liked it better than his jumpsuit actually. It was more loose and free and he felt like he could do just about anything. His sword was strapped to his back for the meantime. Occasionally he would get it out and swing it just to get a feel for it. Naruto then growled and espered his sword in the ground and looked at Kyoraku. The captain was lying on the ground with his straw hat over his head and his legs crossed as he just now went to sleep. Kyoraku-sensei, Kyoraku-sensei. Naruto shouted out, then threw a rock at him, making him jolt up. HWUH, what are you doing? You need to continue your training, you know. Low, middle, high. Kyoraku said. Training. This isn't training, this is just an excuse to go snoozing, Kyoraku-sensei. Come on, train me for real. Naruto said in a demanding tone. Look, you can't go out slashing wildly, you need to know the basics. So Kyoraku said, then grabbed his bokken and put it in his hand, then said, low, middle, high. He then went back to his spot and began to watch him. Naruto grumbled and started to slash at the dummy at each direction Kyoraku called out. Sometimes he would trick him after getting him into an easy pattern. That would make Naruto fumble and drop his sword. Naruto was determined to slash at each direction Kyoraku called out. After a few hours Naruto started to get the hang of it and slashed at each direction correctly when Kyoraku called it out. After a few weeks of drills Kyoraku and Naruto began to spar. Naruto always was defeated by Kyoraku at some simple stuff, but after the weeks went by Naruto began to develop into a swordsman that could put up a good fight. Months went by and Naruto and Kyoraku continued to spar with the bokken and become good friends. The only thing Naruto couldn't stand was Kyoraku's peeping, especially at his lieutenant at times. Naruto would always slap him upside the head when he did that, and they were that good of friends that he could actually do that. Occasionally Shigekuni and Chojiro would secretly observe their training. Chojiro was comparing the Naruto from before and the Naruto now, and it surprised him how far he had advanced in sword skills. Yet there was one thing that Naruto didn't learn yet. Kido. What's a Kido? Naruto asked as Kyoraku introduced that word to him. It's another basic combat that Shinigami use. It is when we use our spiritual energy and compress it into a spell for binding or attacking. I won't be training you, but my lieutenant, who is somewhat scared in the art of Kido, will. Kyoraku said as he looked back and introduced his lieutenant Nanao eyes. Well, let me first tell you this about Kido. These are magical spells that use your energy, so if you happen to know a high-level spell, doing it now will cause deaths. I'm only going to teach you low-level spells, and when you feel like you're ready you can learn about it more. These spells can get you out of tough situations when you can't guess your way through things. Nanao said, and Naruto nodded, waiting for the lesson to begin. Nanao and Naruto began to walk toward an open field for a good place to train with these spells. Lisa then decided to ask where Naruto was before he came to the Soul Society. Naruto told her about Konoha and the friends he made there, and how the people treated him for something he didn't have any power over. Nanao felt bad for him but hid her sympathy by pushing up her glasses a bit with her fingers. Naruto had asked the lieutenant about her life here, but she sorta shrugged it off the nicest way she could, not wanting to talk about it much in case she wasn't supposed to. They finally got to an open training field to practice on Kido. It was a small plain with trees surrounding the area and some of the grass SD off, but the dirt was still there. The grass itself wasn't luscious at all, it was mainly short and rough. Not the kind you would want to lay in and feel a bit comfy before feeling itchy. Okay, watch closely, I'm going to show you an explosive technique that would send your enemy back. It is a first level spell and is sorta tricky for beginners. When you start the training the enemy will be that rock, Nanao said, pointing to a few medium-sized rocks around the field. Hado 1, Thrust. Nanao chanted as an invisible force simply thrusted the rock backwards to a tree, making it break. Wow, Naruto said, a bit amazed at the spell even though it was low-leveled. If you say the spell's name, it will give it more power than if you just mentally do it. If you work on it long enough, either concentration or training, this spell could be as devastating as a high Kido attack, but in turn you will lose energy. Remember that, now you try it. Nanao said and stepped back as Naruto stepped up. Hado 1, thrust. Naruto chanted as he strained a bit and barely made the rock fly up into the air. He looked at the ground a bit disappointed but a bit amazed on how this technique was harder than it looked. No one gets it perfect on their first try. Nanao added as Naruto looked back up and chanted again but having the same result. Naruto continued to recite the words to the thrust spell, getting a bit better at it after each go around. Although this was making Naruto weaker, so his blasts got a bit sloppy and didn't even hit the target. They trained until sunset and Naruto was officially worn out to the point where he was on his knees panting. Who would have thought, a level 1 spell taking a toll on me this much? Naruto thought to himself as he slowly began to get up, getting help from Nanao. You did well for the first day, it won't be long until you're a master at this. Nanao said, which made Naruto smile as they walked back to the 8th division area. They continued simple Kido training for a week. Yoroiki still watched them from afar, gladly seeing Naruto's improvements. Kyoraku stopped by once or twice to deliver them some food. Naruto didn't know it, but Nanao saw that Kyoraku had taken a special interest in Naruto from the time he got here. He would also stop by Ukate's to get some training for the mind. With Ukate's tuberculosis, he couldn't have trained Naruto without getting struck by illness quickly. So to make up for it, Ukate decided to teach Naruto the history of the Soul Reapers, some scenarios for quick thinking, and other stuff. The two became good friends, and as time went on, Naruto became friends with almost everyone, except Byakuya. Byakuya despised Naruto since he had just got into the Soul Society and is treated as a Shinigami just because he has great Ryatsu. Weeks passed by and after 1 month things started to become a bit trickier in the real world and the Soul Society. Naruto woke up and put his Soul Reaper robes on and attached his sword beside his belt and walked out to be greeted by Nanao, but she had more of a worried look. Nanao, what's wrong? Naruto asked, worried. Naruto, something's happening in the real world, Konoha, your old home. Nanao said, then added, and some people came into the Soul Society, I don't know what they're after, but Captain Aizen's been acting strange as well. Naruto ignored the last part since he was more worried about his old home. Although he hasn't been there in 5 months, it was still his home and he had people he cared about there. Naruto ran over to Kyoraku's place and found that he was about to leave. Luckily, Kyoraku noticed Naruto before he left. Ah, Naruto, what do you want? Kyoraku asked. Nanao told me about something happening to Konoha. Do you know what exactly? Naruto replied out of fast. Yes, it seems like another village has decided to raid the village. Sound villages are everywhere and they're attacking this Hokage. Old man, Naruto whispered under his breath. What was that? Kyoraku asked, bending over to look Naruto in the eyes. Nothing. Is there any way I can return to Konoha? I think I have the power to help these people. Naruto said. Yes, there is a way. It's quite easy to get back to the real world, but we won't be seen by public unless they have a strong spiritual pressure and can see Soul Reapers, but if not, you will need a body so that you're like a regular person. And in order to get into your Soul Reaper state, your body will be limp and practically while you rush out. Only a people with enough spiritual pressure can see your presence if you don't have a regular body and whatnot. Kyoraku explained. F that. Kyoraku-sensei, I need to get there now. I don't give a s if they can see me. Naruto exclaimed, and Kyoraku sighed, then opened a portal-like rift for him to go back into the real world. Might I add that your power is sustained in that world, you're not at full power when you're in the real world. Kyoraku said, but by the time he said add, Naruto had jumped through the portal. Naruto got back into the real village and was standing on a tree facing the Konoha gates. He looked at it and had a warm feeling inside. Coming back home was good for him, but this was not the time for a welcome home party. Naruto saw a flood of sound ninja come to the gates and scatter into the village. Naruto dashed towards the village and jumped up to the gate and looked around. He saw Sound and Leaf Village shinobi fight each other and boss falling to the ground. Naruto diagonally dashed and SD each sound ninja that got in his way as he made his way to a purple chamber that was on top of a building. Naruto had arrived at the Chunin area and SD sound ninja with his sword, of course. Kakashi and Guy were there, pounded sound ninja to a pulp. Kakashi looked to his left at the middle of the Chunin area and saw Naruto in the Soul Reaper clothes. Naruto, no way, he SD months ago. Kakashi thought to himself and ran over to Naruto, but was stopped by a disguised Anbu. Don't go near the middle of this place, it's dangerous, the Anbu said and pulled out a scalpel. Kakashi slashed off the mask which made the hood go back and it appeared to be Kabuto. The two then were fighting with kunai and scalpel, which by that time Naruto was gone. Naruto was on top of one of the ledges at the Chunin exam area as he looked at the forest where he saw two ninjas and a dog run to the forest. Naruto slashed at 3 sound ninjas that attempted to chase them. The whiskered Soul Reaper then dashed into the forest as fast as he could, catching up to the ninjas but at a distance so they couldn't sense him. Is that Sakura? Naruto mumbled and looked closer to see the pink-haired ninja dash into the forest. They're chasing a boy named Sasuke. It seems like he followed a guy named Gaara who has a weird Ryatsu raging from him, a voice said, and Naruto looked back to see that it was Yoroiki in her black cat form. Yoroiki, when did you get here and why are you following me? Naruto asked, a bit freaked out. Well, I was waiting to talk to you alone without the captains getting in the way, and with that said I suggested to myself that you should see a man Urahara. He is the former 12th squad captain. I was thinking he could be of use into finding the name of your Zanpakuto. That should be your number one priority since without the name you cannot unleash its full potential. Yoroiki said as they continued to follow the two ninja. One of the ninjas headed back toward Naruto's direction. The paths crossed and Naruto looked to see the ninja twitch and look behind him. It was like a great wind just hit the ninja in the chest. Naruto examined the ninja and Yoroiki looked behind her too, then at Naruto. His name is Shikamaru Nara, a genin that took part in the Chunin exams. Yoroiki said. I see, it's been a while since I've seen genin that used to be like me. Naruto said, then looked back as he saw Sakura stop and after a few minutes get slammed into the tree by a hand made out of sand. What was that? Naruto exclaimed, a bit freaked out, and he sensed the person's spiritual pressure. His spiritual pressure is much different from a Soul Reaper, and a ninja's for that matter. What is this person? Naruto wondered, then caught a glimpse of Sasuke, who was wearing a black Uchiha shirt and pants and medical tape around his arms. Naruto then saw Sasuke charge up some electrical energy and charge at the figure with some weird markings around his face. Naruto stood on a tree limb to see the person that is Gaara. Gaara had half his face covered in weird sand with blue lines around it, his hand was bulged out with that sand and blue markings, and he had a tail with half of his body covered in this weird sand. Naruto saw Sasuke fall from the forest onto a limb below. Naruto looked as Gaara charged at the Uchiha for the final blow. Naruto diagonally dashed on the trees and grabbed Sasuke and propped him on a limb. It seems like all these people around me have strong spiritual pressure, maybe they can see me. Naruto thought as he held his sword in front of him and looked at the demonic Gaara. Gaara looked back and Naruto was right, he could see him. What do you want, Shinigami? Gaara shouted. It seemed like he knew about the Soul Reapers. Yoroiki went over to a safe spot and camped out to watch the fight. Leave my friends alone, Naruto said, pointing his sword at Gaara. Sasuke opened his eyes and he too could see Naruto in these Soul Reaper robes. Naruto, is that you? I thought you, SD, the Uchiha mumbled as he fell back unconscious. Fine, I'll just have to KO you first, Shinigami. Gaara shouted excitedly, but in a crazy tone. What do you know about the Soul Reapers? Naruto asked, curious on how he knew who he was. Please, I have heard about you guys from my ancestors and how we tried taking over your society. Now enough with the questions, time to S. Gaara shouted and lunged at Naruto. Naruto jumped down and put his foot on Gaara's large hand and pushed him back, then put his feet on the limb of a tree and dashed towards him. Naruto swinged his sword at Gaara's chest, but it was blocked by his sand tail. The two clashed as they started to stare each other down. Naruto officially decided that this guy was no pushover nor a ninja, he was something else. Naruto and Gaara both clashed with the sword and tail. After a few moments Naruto felt Gaara overpowering him and eventually he was overpowered and thrown to a tree. Naruto landed on a limb below him and held his sword with his left hand but kept it behind him a bit waiting for Gaara to come forth. Gaara then leaped up below Naruto and made the limb crumble before him. Naruto immediately ran up the tree then jumped backwards a bit. Naruto looked down at Gaara who was closer than he thought as the red-haired monster slashed at him and made the Soul Reaper slam into a tree. Damn, this might be tricky. Naruto thought, groaning. Naruto saw a tail from the corner of his eye and he immediately ducked and saw that the tail slashed the tree in half. Naruto dashed towards Gaara and slashed upwards at him, but when his blade tried to touch his skin, Gaara automatically reacted and swatted Naruto down. Naruto espered his sword in a tree and swinged upwards, standing on it carefully. The two looked at each other as each got ready for the other to try and attack them. Naruto didn't make a move but he lifted his hand a bit and waited for Gaara to charge at him. Eventually Gaara thrusted his way towards Naruto. The blonde-haired Shinigami grinned and then shouted out. Hado 1, thrust. Once he shouted that out, Gaara was thrown back into a tree and right when he got hit with it, Naruto jumped up and took his sword out. The blue-eyed Soul Reaper also charged towards Gaara and slashed his stomach and spin-kicked him to a tree. Naruto attempted to Gaara's chest but it was immediately covered in the hard sand that covered his arm, half of his face and legs. The sand quickly attached to the sword and Naruto began to try and pull it out. Once he pulled it out he jumped back but was then slammed into the tree with Gaara's sand tail. You're weak, Shinigami. You should not have come, now you're S. Gaara shouted as he leaped to another tree and the sand starting to take over. His sand-covered hand started to have a different appearance and was then bladed. His whole arm had sand spikes on it and the fingers were morphed to a long sand spike. Naruto froze as he saw Gaara's arm transform into that of a sword. The sand reached across his face and body so you couldn't even recognize him. Gaara then dashed towards Naruto as they clashed blades, you could say. Naruto tried overpowering him but with Gaara's transformation, it was really hard to push. Gaara slammed him through a tree and watched as Naruto fell slamming into limbs. Naruto finally grabbed onto a limb of the tree. Amazed on how tall these trees were, he climbed up and looked down a few feet from the bottom. He looked up and he couldn't even see the top of the tree. Naruto then began to run up the tree. Naruto started to get tired ever since that kiddo spell. It seems like that took a lot out of him. He ignored what Kyoraku said and just leaped into the portal. That information might have turned the tables with energy conservations or this match. Naruto sheathed his sword and made 5 clones as he began to run faster up the tree. You're not getting back up here, Shinigami. Gaara said as his voice was morphed with that of a demon's as he pointed his spiked sand arm down at the tree as millions of sand shurikens darted out of the hand aiming towards Naruto. Naruto looked up and saw a lot of blurs striking down near him. They were sharp and probably sand shuriken. His clones disappeared into smoke as he got hit 3 times and was knocked back. He then deflected most of the shuriken with his sword, getting hit at random times. Naruto decided to hold his sword in front of him and run straight through the horde of sand shuriken aiming towards him. He would deflect each that would come to him until he got espered in the knee, which made him fall onto a tree limb. Naruto looked up as the sand shuriken continued to rain down. He swinged down so the shuriken only attacked the tree and once or twice cut his finger. The shuriken stopped coming down eventually and Naruto lifted up and looked up, seeing Gaara jump down and attempt to stomp on top of him. Naruto jumped back and upward slashed Gaara, but to his surprise the slash did nothing but barely cut that sand. Gaara then slashed Naruto's ribs, making him fly downwards into a tree limb. I can't fight him, no matter what I do. That damn armor is just gonna take it like it's nothing. He's beating me to a pulp. Naruto thought to himself and started to growl as he see his vision go a bit black. What's happening? Naruto said to himself as he felt a presence come toward him. Let me take over, I'll get him for you and your friends will be safe. A distorted voice that sounded like Naruto said. Naruto looked over to Sakura who was pinned with sand, Gaara's sand. He then looked over at Sasuke who was CS pled because of Gaara. Gaara, Naruto growled as a red chakra emerged from his body and the blackness in his eyes slowly retreat back to his mind. I said I would help, not the fox. The voice said as the blackness quickly begun to take over but the chakra still flowing around with Naruto. Naruto leaped over to Gaara and as the sand monster tried slashing at him he simply blocked with his arm which was surrounded by red chakra. The whiskers on Naruto's face got darker and his eyes became red with a black S for the pupils. He grew sharp teeth and claw-like nails, along with the blackness in his eyes that was covering the whites of his eyes. Naruto espered Gaara in the stomach hard enough to break the sand armor around his stomach. He then made 20 clones that tackled Gaara and began to beat the living hell out of him. Eventually those clones were violently destroyed as Gaara pointed his spiked arm and shot out sand shuriken at Naruto. The shuriken were turned to glass when they got near the red chakra that surrounded Naruto. The Soul Reaper simply directed them back at Gaara and shot him out faster than the previous sand shuriken. Gaara got hit and fell back from the force. Naruto dashed towards Gaara and punched him hard, then spun around and slashed him at random times in a tornado motion. Gaara's armor got slashed faster than it could regenerate, so he finally just made the sand turn into spikes and shoot out from his body. Naruto got LD with it as Gaara made a sand spear from his sand and made it S into his stomach to make him hang from the tree. Naruto coughed up blood and dropped his sword as his red chakra seeped back into his body. The black in his eyes slowly took over his right eye, making the white substance slowly appear to attach on his face. "What are you?" Naruto asked. "Maybe you should ask your captain that, Naruto Uzumaki." Gaara shouted, walking toward Naruto. You know my name, how?" Naruto said, a bit dazed. "Mine is Gaara if you're interested, but that won't matter because your time is near." Gaara said, stretching his arm out as the sand wrapped around his arm and made it into that huge spiky arm. The blackness in Naruto's eyes completely took over and the hollow mask appeared quickly along with a muscular right arm with vein-like black lines. Naruto took the spear out and jumped down as his eyes turned yellow after the blackness in his eyes retracted a bit. Naruto picked his sword up and pointed it at Gaara. The red-haired ninja grinned as the sand immediately took over his body and his back was covered in spikes along with his arms. Naruto balled his right muscular-like hand in a fist and punched Gaara, who punched with one of his big sand arms. Their punches collided and made a mini crater develop below them. Naruto pushed Gaara back with his fist, then espered Gaara in the upper stomach and looked at the sand monster with his yellow eyes. "Time to S," Naruto said in a distorted voice as he kept the sword in Gaara's stomach and dragged him across the ground, then threw him up, making him slam into a tree. "Bakudo 1, restrain," Naruto chanted, then laughed as Gaara had his arms together like he had handcuffs on. Naruto then threw his sword, which espered at Gaara's chest. The impact was so strong it made the sand drop down below Gaara. Naruto laughed and paced with his hollow mask on. Of course, he then looked up at Gaara and how much pain he was in at the time. Naruto pushed the sword in deeper and Gaara winced, then started to grin. "What's so funny, eh?" Naruto said, pushing the sword in further. "Rise Shukaku and destroy this pest," Gaara said as the sand appeared a few feet behind Naruto and then morphed into a raccoon-like beast but grew up high in the sky and solidified into the sand that once engulfed Gaara. The beast roared and looked down at Naruto, who was but an ant at the time. "Lovely," Naruto said and began to laugh wildly, then dashed upwards towards the beast. The beast swinged his arm towards Naruto as he simply rolled onto the arm and ran up his mask, then got a crack in it. Naruto jumped up and punched the Shukaku straight in the eye. The beast roared and swatted Naruto downwards. Naruto regained his sense of direction and ran down the stomach and jumped up as he tightened his right fist and uppercutted the Shukaku. The intensity of the punch shattered Shukaku's face and the sand just flowed downwards and piled on top of Naruto as most of the forest became covered in sand. The rest of the gigantic Shukaku flowed down to sand and then the whole forest was basically like a sand playground with some trees. Gaara took the sword out of his stomach and threw it to the ground, then put his hand out as all the sand absorbed into him. As the sand traveled, Naruto was riding on the sand and picked up the sword. Gaara's eyes widened as he stopped absorbing the sand so it would stop, but Naruto just jumped and slashed Gaara in half. Naruto began to laugh maniacally, having the time of his life. He then stopped as his mask cracked and fell apart. Naruto didn't pass out though. He saw what he had done to Gaara and then slowly went up to where Sakura and Sasuke were. Sakura just woke up, the only thing she had been some chafing from the tight sand. Sasuke stood up and looked at Naruto with shock. Sakura then woke up and blinked, looking over at Naruto. "Naruto," Sakura said, surprised to see him. She then fainted. "Naruto, we thought you were S," Sasuke said, standing up looking over at Naruto. Naruto was about to talk but a shock of pain filled his body as he leaned on the tree. Yoroiki jumped on Naruto's elbow and sat down for a bit. Naruto panted and picked up Sakura and he and Sasuke went back to the Chunin exam place where Kakashi was. Guy had left fighting off some sound ninja while he was fending off Kabuto who also left. Sasuke, Naruto, Yoroiki, and the unconscious Sakura came in front of Kakashi. Naruto laid Sakura down and looked at Kakashi knowing that he could see him. Naruto, how did you? Kakashi began to ask but couldn't figure out the words. Naruto then decided to explain to them about what had happened when he SD. He told them about the Soul Reapers, the Gote 13, how he was able to get here, and he even showed them his Zanpakuto. Naruto winced in pain and then sat down sheathing his sword as he looked at the two. You should rest, you might not have enough energy to get back to the Soul Society, if you know how to. Sasuke said. Yeah, I'm gonna go to my old apartment and hang around there, it must be vacant. Naruto said and then slowly walked to the direction of the apartment. Naruto, hold on, I need to give you something. Kakashi said as Naruto turned around. This appeared when you, SD, Kakashi said as he gave Naruto a special kunai with two mini prongs like spikes to the left and right of the main kunai blade and a weird scroll-like thing wrapped around the handle. Thanks, I suppose, Naruto said as he left the Chunin area to go get some rest. As Naruto walked towards his practically vacant apartment, Yoroiki followed, still being a black cat of course. You know, I think while we're in the real world you should visit Urahara's shop down near Tanzaku town and maybe he could help you find the name of your Zanpakuto. I mean, let's face it, you got injured pretty badly in that fight with Gaara, so it's good to get your Zanpakuto's name and then maybe train some more. Yoroiki suggested. Yeah, that would be a good idea, I could stay for a few days at least. Kyoraku-sensei wouldn't be that mad at me if I did stay, would he? Naruto asked. You would just have to tell him, but first heal your wounds. Yoroiki said. Naruto went to his apartment, which hasn't changed in 5 months. There was still some ramen that wasn't finished while Naruto was still alive. Naruto found some old medical tape and wrapped it around his stomach wound and bandaged up some more bruises and cuts. Naruto then lay down after reporting to Kyoraku that he would be staying a bit, which was okay with him. Kyoraku had also told him what was happening there and told about some kid about Ichigo that was about 3 years older than him and beat or almost beat Byakuya, which surprised Naruto. He must be good, Naruto thought as he went to sleep. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.